They can see it.
Right.
Oh. I got the outlet.
Right, right.
They were cheap.
I think we're ready. Okay, I lost all my notes. Sorry, we can't do this today.
Can't do it?
No, I got it right here. This, I found this the other day. This is for sale, 938 Fresno Street. Guess what? Legal description. This building was for sale.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where that's at?
Maybe that's what. Then maybe that's what happened.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Newman City Council regular meeting for September 11th, 2018. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and remain standing for the invocation. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we all know, today is a very sad day in the history of our country. Would you join me for just a moment of silence as we remember those who lost their lives on this day? Most gracious Father, we thank you tonight that we have men and women that are willing to run into danger instead of away from it. Many, many people owe their lives to those who came to their aid during this tragic event. We pray your blessings on our police officers and our fire department personnel and all of those in our city that are involved in emergency actions. Watch over and care for them as they care for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you very much. Do we have roll call, please?
Councilmember McDonald?
Here.
Graham?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Candia?
Here.
Day?
Here.
Mayor Martina?
Here. Declaration of conflict of interest.
None.
None. Any ceremonial matters? There being none. Item 7, items of the public non-agenda item. And if anyone would like to get up and speak to the council, now would be the time. Go to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and we'd love to hear what you have to say. Okay. Not tonight then. 8 is consent calendar. Waive all readings of ordinance and resolution except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of August 28, 2018 meeting.
I move that we approve the consent calendar as read.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. 9 is a public hearing. Adopt resolution number 2018, next number, a resolution declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight we have a property to be abated for you. Sorry. It's 1284 Duck Line, and at this particular address, the backyard was overgrown with a bunch of weeds and bush, and while they've chopped it down and they're making progress, they have still yet to clean up the site. So tonight we're having a public hearing to give the property owners an opportunity to abate the project, and if they don't, then we can send somebody in there to get it all cleaned up. But this is a public health and safety hazard by having the possibility of vermin and other things transpiring out there. So I can answer any questions that you may have, and again, this is a public hearing.
Any questions?
You said they've made progress on it. When is the time frame on that progress?
Originally it was just all overgrown, and they've recently gone out and cut this, but they just haven't removed it yet. So our code enforcement officer, Ms. Mendoza, has been working with them. This particular site has been the subject of abatement several times in our community, and it always tends to be right down to the wire is when they clean it up. So
But
Once you allow us to abate it over here, we'll make contact with them in the next day or two and tell them you got X number of days to get it done. If not, then we'll send somebody in to get it done.
Okay.
Is the home occupied?
The home is occupied. There are a minimum of 2 residents in there and possibly 3.
And the abatement is just on the backyard?
Just on the backyard, yes, correct. At this point.
Looked at the front yard, and it's not all that great either.
Yeah, and they've actually made some progress on the front. They've chopped down some trees that were leaning over and a few other things. It's just that they're consistent property that shows up on your abatement list. They don't water much. They don't mow much. There's 2 young adults in there. I think it's a brother and a sister. So they really don't get anything done until they're forced to get it done.
Was this basically, Michael, was a complaint from one?
It was a complaint-driven, correct. The neighbors were complaining that there were vermin that were entering into their property from this particular property, and so they asked us to take a look at it, and this is where we're at right now.
All my questions are answered.
Anything else? This is a public hearing, so I'll open it to the public for any comments now. There being no comments, I'll bring it back to the council for direction.
Move that we adopt resolution 2018 next in number, resolution declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Move on. 10 is regular business. A, authorized purchase of automated meter reading system pilot program. It sounds exciting, Catherine.
Very exciting. Thank you. The item before you tonight is to consider purchasing 40 complete meters with radio units, 10 registers with the radio unit that we'll use on existing meters in the ground, and the automated reading system, along with some training costs and one-time setup charges. We currently read over 3,400 meters every month, and that's by employees walking, pulling the lid, entering the number into a smartphone, and then it gets sent over to utility billing, and that's how we bill residents for their water usage. This system would be a pilot program to see how having a radio unit and a unit in a vehicle would allow the employee to drive the area and read the meters. I've seen these systems in action, and it'll read about 20 meters a second. And so if we start with this 50, which are the new construction homes for Ramson Homes, there's already 10 meters in the ground. That's why we just have to upgrade the register with the radio. They're already paying about $240 for new construction for a meter. And so the cost for this system would be $259 per meter and about $10,000 in equipment. The one-time fees for training in the software and getting us all up to speed so our systems talk to each other is about $6,000. And then the license and taxes is $3,500. So for the total of $34,553.41, we can put a trial program in place to do an automated meter system and see how that works. The reason why we only have to buy 10 is because we already purchased the Badger meters, so they're already being installed as those homes become finished. So it's a natural progression towards going with the Badger reading system. I did look at several other systems, and there were some limitations to them. For instance, one of the systems requires you to change every lid on the meter boxes, which is about a $50 cost. And then there's a plastic little unit on top that you have to have that radio tucked up against. And so that was just burdensome, I thought, and wasted. I've seen the system operate, and it's reliable, so we don't have a lot of unread meters when we go through the system, which one of the systems they had here in the past and it kind of failed on them, and so they quit using it. So we don't want to go with that system either. And so this was the best system, I think, for our trial to see how it goes.
How long will the trial be?
So these meters will be in place now until they need to be replaced and the system will operate. And then, but what we'll do is staff will consider as we move forward, especially with new construction, we will require the developers to make sure they purchase these meters and the radio, and that's what will be installed. And then during rate studies, we'll consider the money that people already pay for their meter of doing replacement meters every so many years, and then we would also replace them with these.
How accurate are those meters going to be? Are they pretty?
In the beginning, they're about 98% accurate, and they do capture pretty low flows. So if you have we want to know if a toilet's leaking or a
Right.
sink is dripping, that our meter is going to capture that amount of water. And then also, it will tell us there's a leak. So it will tell us, hey, water has moved through that meter every 15 minutes for 24 hours, and that indicates there's a leak. And so with that information, we can actually notify customers and tell them, you may have a leak, check your system, and it'll give us a report every month of potential leaks.
So we don't have that now, right? We don't have a
No,
system set
it's-
up to where if the person has a leak, they basically will be notified or?
No, basically now we assume that they could have a leak based on unusual consumption. So if somebody used 100 units and then the next month, all of a sudden they used 250 units, we would call them and say, hey, you may have a leak, your consumption's unusually high.
Is there an estimated man-hour savings in this because of walking house to house compared to driving?
Well, right now, it takes over a week for everybody to, which is about 4 employees, to walk every house and pull the lids, and then go back and do any rereads. So if we have an unusual read, we have to send them back and recheck it, especially if customers say, hey, I don't think that reads right. So this, even if we had all 3,400, it would take one man one day.
Okay.
Maybe 2 if we did have to go out and do some
And
reprogramming.
it takes
or
4 people a week at this
over a
point.
week, most of the time.
Are there any grants out there to upgrade everything?
Yes, there are some green grants, which Michael and I have been talking about, to where
Okay.
maybe we could replace all the meters. And
Right.
so we're just starting to talk about that and look into it for the current customers.
Right.
And council, this came about because, as you know, Monarch Homes, they're building in the Sherman, it's the last 50 lots. So we're putting them in there because it's a situation where we have existing meters already in the area, so it's, we're gonna be able to tell if there's gonna be really any issues that go on there. And it is scalable, so we're already investing in the software and the training and all that. So after that, the more the meters we add, doesn't cost on the back end, it only costs whatever we do to upgrade the meters.
Right.
So,
And on that note, this is also migratable into a full-scale AMR system without having to replace the electronic equipment. It actually, all we would have to do is change the software, and you could go cellular or put radios on towers, and then you just push a button and the reads come in. And that's a little bit more expensive and a little bit overkill at this time for Newman, but that's something that maybe someone will look at in the future. And this is migratable, so you don't have to replace everything. Some of the systems, if you go with a drive-by and then you want to change when you have more residents or more higher population, then you would have to go back and change all the meters again. So this is a nice feature of this system as well.
So what is the cost going to be in reference to residents?
They're going to have the same, they're going to pay the same rate everybody else does. This is going to be, and we're going through the rate study now. Lou could probably speak on that more, and you guys will hear a lot about that when we actually go through that part of it. But right now, these meters will be a purchase based on the builder already pays $240. The city, out of the water budget, is going to cover the additional $19 per meter, and we're going to cover the cost of the equipment out of the water budget. which is, the fund is identified as 6356, 6300. And so when the people move into those homes, they're gonna sign up for water as regular and pay the same rate as everyone else.
Going forward on new build, I know these contracts are already kind of placed. Can we put that those a requirement for that style of meter?
Yeah, that's why we're doing it now, because
Okay.
as we look into Northwest
That way we
Quadrant
don't
or
have to
some of
pay
the
that
other new
$19.
development that may occur, like on Prince Road.
Right.
The idea is to install these types of meters in the future, moving forward. And then as Catherine alluded to, we're gonna do, some research and see if there's a grant out there that would help us rehabilitate or renovate existing meters and put it in there, so.
The system sounds great, and I think that, you know, in looking in terms of how you guys are doing it, it's gonna save manpower, and it's gonna cut in terms of the budget, in terms of those 4 guys going out all the time.
Yeah, so you don't save anything budgetary-wise, so we're still paying the guys. What we do is we get increased efficiency, so therefore, instead of 4 guys out reading meters, hopefully we have 1 reading the meters, and the other 3 continue to work on projects they need to work on.
Right.
So we'll get better efficiency and hopefully get some additional projects done, because we have more man-hours that will be earmarked towards projects as opposed to reading meters.
Sounds pretty exciting, you know, I'm looking forward to that.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Catherine, a question. You said that when there's an unusual amount of water that's being used that normally not, how long would it take to get notification back to the resident that something unusual is happening, have a leak someplace? Would it be days, or would it be weeks, or what?
It would be when we read the meter.
When what?
When we read the meter. And so that's how it happens now, but we just use our judgment when we look at the reads. This system will actually tell us you have a leak.
Yeah,
There are
because-
systems out there that are a lot more expensive that we may move towards in the future, where the customer can be notified. A lot of cities have done it, and most have found that a very small percentage of residents actually sign up and want to be noticed, want to be alerted. For instance, it's a Bay Area community put it in, and 4 people signed up. And they spent, you know, thousands of dollars on this system, did public outreach, you know, communicated the whole system to everyone, and then they had 4 people sign up. And so that's pretty frustrating for a utility.
Because I know that I had one bad month, and my bill jumped up considerably.
Right.
And so all it takes is one bad month, and it makes the system move wild to be able to know prior to your next billing.
One nice feature is it has a feature, we hook up a little anode, and we can put it on the radio in the box when we're on site, and it will tell you when that water was used. Exactly. And we can go back up 4 months.
Would the residents still be able to go in the box and actually
Yes.
take, yeah? 'Cause
And that was one of the features of this meter system as well. Some of them have an electronic
Yeah.
reading only, and I don't like that, because if you have a failure, then you can't go get a read. And so this meter can be read manually still by the residents or us, and go out and teach people how to read their meter or what to look for if there's a leak, but also we can read it electronically.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sounds like we're going down the right road.
We can only hope.
Any other questions? So, bring it back to council direction.
I move that we authorize purchase of an automated meter reading system pilot program.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have just in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you very much.
B is second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2018, next number, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newman, approving a second amendment to develop agreement number 08-02 Mattis Ranch, and authorizing staff to publish a summary of said ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As you know, Mattis Ranch is a 106-lot subdivision that's located on Prince Road. It was originally approved in '08, and that's when you also approved the original development agreement. In 2015, you gave a 3-year extension on this project. this project site had actually undergone a couple issues, and one notwithstanding being the economic issue that we suffered as a nation, but also they changed the FEMA flood maps on there, so they're really looking at the possibility of having them possibly truck in like 2,000 truckloads of dirt just to raise the site so they can build lots on there. It's important to us as right now as a community because these are really the last 106 lots that we have that are approved in the city. So if these kind of don't get built, we're not really going to have an inventory of housing to be built here until Northwest Quadrant is up and running. A few small infill lots off of Real Court area. There's a small one over there. So what they're asking for is a 2-year extension to give them one more shot at try to get this thing built out. That's what they're requesting. And also the other change that would be made in this development agreement was currently as part of the development agreement they've agreed to pay a $2,000 per lot aquatic center fee. We're recommending that $2,000 remain, but instead of the aquatic center they put that fee toward the Veterans Memorial. As you know, you've already have a couple projects that are paying on that, and so if we can get the 2,000 lots and they do 106, you know, that's going to put us up in the $250,000 range, maybe a little bit more towards development of a Veterans Memorial catty corner from here on the corner there. So that project, if they break ground on this, you'll see that project come together really quickly. So you held a public hearing at your last meeting, so tonight there is no public hearing. It's just up to you. It is staff's recommendation that we approve this and waive the reading.
Any question? Okay. Bring it back to council for direction.
Move that we adopt the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2018 next in number. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newman approving a second amendment to development agreement number 08-02 Matos Ranch and authorizing staff to publish a summary of said ordinance.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Thank you very much. And with that, we're going to move to item number 11, items from District 5, Stanislaus County Supervisor, Mr. Jim D. Martini. Everybody loved your truck, Jim. They thought you put your name on it.
I didn't hear what you said, Mayor.
Well, you know the truck that you had in the parade?
Oh, yeah.
They thought you put your name on it. They said,
No,
"Oh,
that's the
exactly
way it
what
came.
is."
It was made by DeMartini Truck Company in San Francisco, and they were made from 1918 to 1934.
Wow.
And that is the oldest one of the 7 still remaining. It's a 1921. So that was
Still
really
running.
quite a restoration project there. I wouldn't want to go through that again. I bought it looked like a truck junkyard in Ontario. It was a mess. But anyway, it looks just like new now, and it was rebuilt to the exact specifications that it was made with, including a mahogany cab. Honduran mahogany, which is common building material in San Francisco back in the 20s. Today it's not, so it was really difficult to fix. But I love cars, I have 30 of them all together, and you got to have some bad habits in this world. So I tell my wife there's worse bad habits. I can't think of any right now, but I know there are. So anyway, I enjoyed the Newman Fall Festival too. So it was nice. I always enjoy the parade here. Anyway, I just have a few things for you tonight. On your dais, I left the senior program that we have. This is it. The Healthcare Task Force, in conjunction with the Catholic Charities, the Stanislaus Elder Abuse Prevention Alliance, and the City of Patterson, are putting on a program about senior safety. This is about senior abuse, financial abuse, and physical abuse. It's a 1-hour talk. It's all informational, and then lunch is provided too by the task force. So we'd like to get an RSVP, but I guess you really don't have to. But the program and the lunch are free. So we encourage all the seniors to come out, and I think there might be some useful information. A lot of these scams from contractors, we're going to fix your roof, and but we need you to pay us $500 in advance before we can buy the parts, that kind of financial abuse is, it's, among many others there that we'll be talking about. It's a free program. This is the first senior program task force has ever put on. So now we've went from kindergarten to senior, everybody in between. So we work for the interest of the area here, regardless of your age. So anyway, it's free. It is, I don't know, give you the date, it's September 27th at 11 o'clock at Patterson's Hammond Senior Center. So come listen to the program, and lunch is on us.
Hey, Jim, I think that's a really good program. I appreciate you guys putting that together. There's a lot of elders that get taken advantage of. I've handled
There's a lot of them.
cases, thousands of dollars they get taken for.
Yeah, and then there's also, a physical abuse too, sometimes by family members, and it kind of, if that should happen, who to call and how to take care of it. So we're going to give you some good information on that, because it does happen, and you should be aware of what might happen. Also, as I told you before, the art and essay contest, this is the flyer for it. I have been to Newman already, but tomorrow I'm going to the Gustine School Board for a presentation and then Patterson on Monday. The Catholic Schools of Sacred Heart and Our Lady of Miracles have already been given their material. Our theme this year is Get Healthy One Step at a Time. And then we will be judging the entries on November 2nd at Gustine City Hall. So we've done this, I think this is about the 10th year now. We get hundreds of entries. We encourage the schools to make this a project for their classrooms. We have divisions, 4 divisions from kindergarten to 8th grade, plus the art contest, which we make our calendar, and we leave here in Newman. We also have an essay contest too that we judge, and we give prizes for all that. They're not a real lot, like $50 or so, but if you're in kindergarten, $50 could be quite a bit. And then I think we give an touch, something. I don't know electronic stuff anywhere. I'm still using 8-track, but we give some electronic gizmo that stores music over there as a grand prize for the best essay. It's iPod Touch, I think is what it's called. It's hard to beat an 8-track though. But anyway, so that's coming up there, and all the presentations will be done by next week. The next task force meeting will be September 20th right here in Newman at your old council chambers at 6 o'clock. We invite the public to attend. The task force mostly works on health and fitness, exercise, healthier living. We advocate for more medical services in the area and a healthier lifestyle. And we work just between Patterson, Newman, and Gustine for the benefit of the community. So that's all I have on the task force. We stay busy year-round doing projects. And then, of course, the Crow's Landing Air Base, I talked to Keith Boggs, and he said he's just about ready. So he thinks that that soon it should come to the board maybe the 28th of September. So it's really almost done. We had comments from the last time, and it takes us a while to go through that and respond to everything, but it is almost done now. And the board has committed at least $20 million to the project to jumpstart it, to get infrastructure in, water, electricity, and roads. Just nobody's going to move there unless that stuff's in. So we do have at least a $20 million commitment just to get started. So anyway, probably in the next meeting I'll have a little bit more information on this. We're getting really close now. And that's all I have this evening, unless you have any questions for me.
I have a quick question for you. Have nothing to do with Crow's Landing. So you have 30 cars?
Yeah, I have 30 cars. I say there's worse bad habits, but I drive a different one every day.
Collector.
I have the oldest one is a 2-cylinder 1908 Buick. That's the oldest one. That one doesn't get driven very often, but I drive a different one every day. Last week, I brought in a 1917 Winton that I have into the county. Today it was a Lamborghini 12-cylinder, 740 horsepower car. So it goes from like 33 horsepower one day to 740 the next. But I love all kinds of cars.
Alert your officers there, Randy. Alert your officers.
They wouldn't be able to catch a Lamborghini.
Most of my cars are not fast, but a couple of them are. I just love cars. I just always had it. It's something. I was the same way in high school. I couldn't really afford them then. But you know, I have finally now, after 40 years, bought every car that I wanted to own in high school. So, I've
Can't
got
beat that.
60s muscle cars, and, hot rods, and Jaguar XKE, which I just would have loved to have in high school, but I couldn't afford it. But I have one now. I paid 10 times what it was I paid, back in 1970 for it, but still have it. I just love cars.
Don't forget, you're getting older, so what you ought to do is do a car show.
Car show?
D. Martini car show.
I have car clubs come out all the time. I had one call today from Lodi Model A Club. I've had the Pharaohs are coming out next month. I've had the Newman Rotary out twice. So I show them too. But I drive all my cars. They're all licensed and they're all driven. I just, unless I drive them, I don't want to. If I own them, I'm going to drive them. So they're
That's a
in
good thing.
perfect condition. They're all restored and they all run. The last one I bought 2 weeks ago was car 30. Was a 1940 Packard four-door convertible. It was used by Ginger Rogers in a movie.
So DMV is making pretty good money off of it.
They've done real well off of me, because that's why I should move to another state where the license is about 1/10 what I'm paying.
Right.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
That's a great love.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. With that,
Tell us about your cars.
After,
Your Prius.
after hearing Jim's story, I only have 2 words for you. Asset forfeiture.
Really?
So, actually, Council, I just wanted to thank you for your volunteerism this last weekend and getting out to the soccer. Greatly appreciate it. Had a lot of people out there. But I'm not going to tell you about that, because today I've had the great pleasure of calling up today Miss Alicia Mendoza. Alicia was our community service officer. She applied for the new rec director, community liaison position, and effective of September 1st, she has assumed that role. And she was out there doing soccer this weekend. And she's going to come up and tell you a little bit about herself and her soccer.
My name's Alicia Mendoza, and I'd like to also thank everybody who was out there this weekend helping out with the soccer tournament, soccer league. I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to work for Newman. Me growing up in Stevenson, Newman's always been home to me. It's the biggest town next to Stevenson, so I was here frequently growing up, and I've always been in love with sports. So being able to come up to Newman and actually start as a community service officer and work my way up to now recreation director / community liaison has been a great honor, and I'm excited and happy to take on the new challenges as the rec director and community liaison, and just bring a lot of different aspects that I've seen in other towns, and bring a lot of people to know who our town is and how proud I am of our town, and just have everybody know who Newman is. And once again, I'd like to thank the council members for being out there this weekend and just helping. You guys did more than 400 hot dogs and more than 300 hamburgers, so it was definitely a large event. Good opener weekend. Yeah.
Alicia, how many soccer teams and players do you have this year?
I have 32 teams, about 400. I have 398 players and 400 teams. I'm sorry, 32 teams, 400 players.
Wow. Amazing.
Your position is so important in young men. We lack things for young people to do, and of course, soccer being one of the more important things that the church gets to do in baseball and all that, so you really have a golden opportunity to make a difference in the city. And you will make a difference. So
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, let me say this, I've always been saying this since you've come on with the city, that you're doing a great job, and I will never forget the first time that I seen you on my block. We had a chicken that was loose on the block, and I've never seen a police officer in full gear chase a chicken.
I was going to get it out.
She chased the chicken up and down the block.
It beat me. It flew on a roof.
And I only say that only say that to say this, is that we couldn't have chose a better person for Park and Rec. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
And we need somebody to cook hot dogs. We know who comes.
Yeah.
The council. There's still slots open.
The council enjoyed doing that, so
Yeah.
we're available. So if you guys need us again for anything, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I know that I would be willing to help.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Help if you need.
And it was a great turnout, I think, overall for the community itself, to see the council out there and see how involved you guys were out there. A lot of people were coming up saying, hey, the council's here. Why haven't they come out before? So I think it was a great thing that you guys were out there helping us out as well.
So you did 400 hot dogs, right?
400 hot dogs, about 300 hamburgers.
So I have a list of all the council members that ate hot dogs.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And then
Congratulations.
also, Alicia will be attending the regional tourism roundtable that's starting back up, and that'll be in Modesto later on this month. So that'll be part of our community liaison part, is to go and represent our community at these ones. So, this tourism roundtable event, all the cities come together, Chamber of Commerce comes together, Mr. Boggs kind of leads it all, and they share stories about what they're doing. So the idea is that she can go and participate in these and bring back the best ideas and see if we can start incorporating those into our community, and whether that's, maybe the idea of bringing more events to the downtown in the spring and in the summer of next year. That'll be our goal, to do some of that stuff. So.
We're going to have the opportunity to hear from her like once a month.
Yeah, at this point right now, we're going to start the first meeting of every month. She'll be here to kind of give you an update on some of the things that she's done.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's all for me, Mayor.
Oh, okay. You gonna ask me any questions?
Am I going to ask you a question?
Yeah, can we ask you a question?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Michael, we have to thank you for getting that barbecue going, because you did a tremendous job. I know when we got there, we were watching, you were training us, so we appreciate all you did out there.
Well, I just had to get ready because it's my turn this week, so
Yeah,
they're early training.
thank you.
No, thank you, Mayor and Council.
Appreciate it. With that, Chief, do you have anything tonight?
Let's do a quick little update on the Fall Festival weekend. It's behind us now. It was a great event, a great turnout, and I believe we had 2 little pushing matches between individuals Sunday evening, and that was it. We had one hit-and-run accident that we caught the person down in Gustine, and it was a very uneventful weekend for us. So it was good. Everyone behaved themselves and celebrated appropriately.
Thank you very much.
I have a quick question for
Sure.
you. Every now and then, I hear this gunfire. I hope I'm not the only person that hears this, but I hear it around, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Have you had any complaints about that?
We had about 2 weeks ago, we had a shots fired call, but we don't get very many shots fired calls. We were unable to locate anything at that time, but
Is that the shooting range down behind your house there?
No, not the
No.
shooting range.
he was saying at night, so it
This
wouldn't
is
have
at
been
night,
them.
yeah.
So, I know we did receive a call. It was I think like on a Sunday evening, probably about 2 weeks ago. And it came from different areas, but it was kind of centralized over in the Sherman Parkway area, but we didn't find any evidence of the shooting. Nothing was shot at. Nobody called and said they'd been shot. No houses were hit, no cars were hit, so if it was an actual, been firing off a weapon, it was probably into the air, or maybe into the orchard across the way.
Right, I figured it might be in the air, but it was like a rapid fire, like an automatic weapon.
Did you call it in? They can't do anything about it.
Chief, did they
Well,
have,
I wasn't really trying to do anything about it. I was just wondering if they heard it, if any other complaints that may have rolled in, reference to it.
do some cities have detection devices where they can tell when it's an actual firearm?
They do, yes.
They do that. Are they expensive?
They are very
Very
expensive
expensive.
and not something really a community of this size, it probably wouldn't be appropriate. Those are more
No,
for
I-
like your Chicagos, your LAs, where you're having gang violence and they're trying to target where the gang violence is coming from. So it's more,
Ours is more fireworks.
majority of ours is fireworks, but every now and again we do have somebody that fires off a
The
weapon.
one on this couple Sundays ago was behind my house.
Yeah.
I called it and I knew right where it was at. I knew the area. And it was probably somebody shooting in the air because no cars peel off. There was no screaming, no yelling. So it was just somebody walking out and shooting. But if you call it in, they can narrow down the area a little bit.
I don't get what
But it
That's
helps
not
narrow
true.
down the area of where it might be. And if somebody is, at least there's an officer driving through there.
And you never know when it might actually be an incident. So
Yeah.
it's always good to call them.
Absolutely. We encourage people to call in.
Anyway, thank you, Chief, for keeping us safe. Good work, Chief. Thank you. Lou, do you have anything good to tell us about the city financial condition?
Oh, we're still doing good. I'm still here. Our auditors came out a few weeks ago and completed their in-house portion of their audit, where they dug through our records and we provided them a ton of detail. They didn't have any issues, so at this point they're working on completing the financials and doing our annual reporting for us. We're still waiting on one more set of calculations called our GASB 68. And once we've got that, then we'll be all done. We're still looking at being on target for the first council meeting in December for presenting the financial report. Other than that, we're going smooth.
Would that include mid-year adjustments and that kind of thing, or is that just the financial?
This one is just the financial report, so it'd be reporting on the 17-18 fiscal year. It takes us a while to do it because July and August, we can still, any activities or invoices or revenues that come in during that time frame that are related to the prior year can still get posted. And then after that point, that's when the auditors come in and start looking at all of everything that we've recorded, make sure we didn't post something in the wrong spot or double post something, or make sure things look normal, like we have 12 billing periods for our utility bills, stuff like that. Then they test making sure we're reconciling our bank accounts and all that. Everything's being taken care of. But then after that, they've got to go through and do our street report, the state controller's financial report, and then they have to produce the books for us, for you guys to review and approve, and that's what we end up sending out to other companies that we look for loans from or grants. It takes a while to get it done.
Thank you. Catherine?
Thank you. Just have a couple items. The Fall Festival was great fun. I attended several of the events, and we manned a booth and did some public outreach on storm drain and only rain down the drain and water conservation, and had a spin wheel and gave out candy. It was great fun, and it was well attended. I enjoyed a lot of the fair food as well. And then the road project is almost done. Right now, we're waiting on the CDBG portion requires some new signage, and so we're waiting for that to be installed, and then we'll do our final walk, and then you should see a notice of completion fairly soon after that. We're now, I I want to congratulate Alicia on her position. She's a super great help to us, and I hope we can all work together. I know we will. And Public Works will be barbecuing out there one of these days. And that's it. Thought I had something else, but I forgot.
Catherine?
Yes.
We talked a little bit about the bike emblems on YOLO as you're going out to the school and how they seem to be in a travel lane because of the street
So
narrowing.
there's different class bike lanes. So if you have enough width on a road, you can have a separate parking, bike lane, and travel lane. If you have a narrower road, like is on YOLO, it's what's called a shared bike lane, travel lane, or parking lane, basically. So you can either park there, you share the road with bicycles. And so that's a narrower piece of road. And so you have to change the classification of bike lane dependent upon the width of the road. And so, for instance, on Hills Ferry or Merced, and a lot of the roads, we have enough width that we can have some parking lanes, which are 9 feet, then you have a 4 to 6 foot bike lane, and then you have an 11 or 12 foot driving lane, and so on both sides of the road. So when you can't accomplish all those widths, then what you do is you do a shared bike lane, and the striping is what indicates the difference. So if you have a dedicated bike lane, it's a certain type of striping. If you have a shared bike lane, it's another kind of striping. And so that was all considered during the design of the project to make sure that we accommodated bike lanes, but also whether they had to be shared with driving traffic. So if you're on those roads that are sharing a bike lane, then make sure you watch out for bicyclists, and they do have the right to travel in that lane.
Well, can we have a bike lane on both sides, or we'll have one that's a sharing, or what? Is it just for one bike lane
On Hills Ferry and Merced, that's a CMAQ project that's coming up, I hope, very soon. I believe there's bike lanes on both sides. Oh, on Sherman Park? Yes, so that Hills Ferry out there.
That'll be both sides?
That should be both sides. So there'll be parking, a bike lane, then travel lanes, then you have the middle lane, which is a turn lane at Driscoll, and then also where it turns into the park. I don't know the name of that road off the top of my head.
Mayor, Catherine, I think he's talking about Sherman Parkway from the railroad out to Hills Ferry. So, Mayor, right now, under its current configuration, that's only half a road that we currently have.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
So that's why you see it. When the north side develops, there'll be a mirror image on the other side. You'll have 2 lanes going one direction, 2 lanes going the other. And right now, the idea is since that's a Class 1 walkway, the walkway should accommodate both bicycles and pedestrians on it at this time. That's why it's not striped.
I mean, you know, when I come in from town toward out Sherman, Hills Ferry, towards my house, and then come around, I tell you, it's beautiful. They have all the lines, and you can see so good. I mean, the comparison between now and then, it's really beautiful. I mean, it's just.
They did a really good
fun
job.
to drive on now.
They did a really good job.
Any other question?
Catherine came to the West Side Theater Board meeting last night and was well received by the board. As you remember, the council authorized a $25,000 shared expenditure on some projects for the theater. So she worked with the board and gave them some input, established some lines of communication that I think will help with the relationships with the West Side Theater. She became aware of some of their concerns. So that was a very good meeting. Glad she came.
I liked attending. It was very informative. It's a good program. You should volunteer if you can.
Casey, do you have anything?
I'd like to thank everybody that was involved in the Fall Festival, especially the ladies that volunteer and put so much work into making it a successful event. No, it's very important to say thank you to them. It was a great event. Like Chief said, very little problems. That's outstanding. That's good to hear. Other than that, the only thing I had was the barbecue pit at the park there, where we hold the fall festival. It's missing 3 top caps. It looks kind of, I don't know, can we get, I'll look at that and maybe fix it. It's just 3 bricks. Clean it up to make it look nice.
That's the Rotary Barbecue.
Yeah.
Which park, I'm sorry?
Pioneer.
Oh, Pioneer, okay.
Yeah, it's the Rotary Barbecue. It's missing 3 like top caps.
Okay.
So it just looks not that big of a deal to fix. It doesn't seem clean up. That's it.
Thank you. Roy?
Couple things. One is that, have we revisit the, and I guess this might be for you, Chief, revisit the speed limit survey that was put together? I know that we had, council had some, questions and differences in that. Are we set to, to revisit that?
We don't have a specific date to revisit it. We have sent it back to the engineering firm with your concerns, and they're going to review it and then give us back what they get, another proposal. I don't know if it'll be the same or different, but we shifted the ball back to their court, and when it comes back to us, we'll present it again to you.
One other thing is that, we've been impacted by the young lady who passed away with the suicide, and I bring this up simply because it has and it had an impact on the city of Newman, especially with our youngsters. I said that to say that I think that it might be appropriate and it might be a good thing for the city of Newman to have a town hall meeting to address some of the issues that we're faced with not just suicide, but bullying within our schools. I'm hoping tomorrow at the 2-on-2, I'm going to raise the same issue, that we might be able to look in terms of having a town hall meeting for the city of Newman to bring this issue up and maybe bring some professional people in to discuss how we, as a small city, a rural city, that we could handle these situations a little bit better and maybe be able to help those who need the help, that are going through some difficult problems, especially our youngsters, that we could maybe bring some professional help, not just to the children or the kids in the school system who have counsel, but to the parents in the homes that basically are affected with these situations, to where they can have some input. And I'm hoping that that something can come out of this in reference to the young lady who lost her life with this because she had a problem. And we probably, have quite a few youngsters that are basically are dealing with these issues, and that if we could be some help for their families, their parents, to possibly, deal with this at home, then maybe we could probably save lives. And I just said that, to bring up in the council meeting that this is a concern for the city as a whole, and we, I think, need to reach out and maybe, make a move to do something about it.
Councilmember, if I may address that, the day of that incident, we met with the school district. We had a special meeting. School districts, several members from their staff. They had a tremendous amount of counselors within the school district that were all on site. We did get a hold of behavioral health in Modesto, who sent out additional counselors. So the support system is in place that you're talking about for the children. I just wanted you to be aware before you went into the meeting. They do a tremendous job at the school sites to have things in place for these children. And the onslaught and afterwards, the amount of resources they brought in was pretty impressive how they got it together so quickly.
Right.
So I just wanted you to be aware.
Yeah, and I'm aware of that, and of course my wife, she keeps me abreast in terms of how the school system has kind of handled this, but I think that maybe we need to step outside of the school and maybe reach inside of the home in terms of trying to help the parents. Some of these parents might be single parents, and that if they're dealing with issues, to be able to help them identify to where if the kid is going through something, maybe we can help them, and maybe even save the life. I'm hoping. That's all.
Jumping back on that real quick, I'd just like to follow up with the community's outreach from the schools to all the people involved in the community was just amazing for that family, and it was very, given the circumstances, it was very neat to see our community reach out as they did to that family. It was very impressive, and it was a major loss for the community and very tragic. And what Councilman McDonald's talking about is maybe when he says town hall, I'm assuming it's more of like a meeting where we can bring awareness. If people want to come and listen, we can have somebody speak to awareness to help raise people that might think their kids are traveling down that road.
So just briefly, as this incident took place, there were two parents that basically that were very close to this young lady, and their kids were devastated. Locked themselves in their rooms. I don't want to mention the name, but the young lady,
Councilmember, I think we're going too far.
Okay, I just want to say, just let me say this, is that basically the kid needs help. And if we could help that parent to be able to identify and be able to get her some help, I think that's what I'm trying to do out there. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, suicide among young people today is out of sight. Unfortunately, life is not easy today. They choose that course of action. We move back. Jerry?
Just thanks to everyone that took part in the fall festival and the great success that it was. That was fun barbecuing, so let us know.
Yeah, only I'd like to make a comment on the fall festival. I think it was probably one of the better ones that I've attended. I think from the fashion to the Miss Newman and all that, it seemed like there was just a special feeling in the air, and people were having a good time. I know the girls that participated were very close, and they all seemed to be united in what they believed, and it was just a wonderful thing. We had good representation on the council there, and then of course when we had the parade, Michael was good enough to get us candy, and of course those young kids out there looking for candy, and of course thank you, we were able to accommodate them and give them what they needed. I was thinking we should be telling their dentist to but anyway, it was a great fall festival, and Julie, I think, did an excellent job with all the people that she had to help her. It's not an easy thing to put together, but she seemed to enjoy every minute of it, and she was very busy. And of course, I know if you were here, you could see her every place trying to keep things going and well coordinated. But I think she needs to be commended for what she's done. And she gave us a very special weekend, and it was a great weekend. And as the chief said, we didn't have any issues, and I would like to see this continue for years and years. And so often it's hard to get volunteers, and if you heard what Susan Mattis had to say, we need more volunteers, more people to participate. Like Susan said, people are upset we don't have things that we used to have in the fall festival. Well, it takes people. It takes people to coordinate it, to put it together. I remember a lot of things we used to do, and of course we had even a tomato stomp one time, and that was fun. But anyway, thanks to all those people that made it a very successful weekend. With that, I'm going to ask for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Great.